Welcome to the Safe Money Retirement Show with certified financial fiduciary, Tim Wood.
Let's sit down and make an actual plan, and we have definitely got to factor in that retirement danger zone. I wish to God someone had sat down and done that with my dad. We wish we would have known about these things.
Tim is a retirement and income planning expert, best-selling author, and the founder of SafeMoneyRetirement.com. Tim focuses on wealth management, retirement income, tax and long-term care planning, and so much more.
Today is your opportunity to build the tomorrow you want. You've got an 87% chance of success. Well, son, that's a 13% chance of failure.
And now, the Safe Money Retirement Show with Tim Wood.
Welcome in to this week's edition of the Safe Money Retirement Show alongside Tim Wood. He's the star of the show. He's also the founder, president, and certified financial fiduciary with Safe Money Retirement. My name's Kevin McAlpin. Hope you're having a fantastic day. Appreciate you being with us on the show. And of course, we got a lot to get to on the program here today. Plus, we'll also get to our listener-submitted question of the week. That plus so much more. But first things first, we say hello to my man, Tim Wood. And it's always a pleasure to be with you. I hope you're doing well today, my friend.
I am, and I sure hope everyone listening's doing well and enjoying the early summer and the warmer weather and getting out and enjoying baseball season. Go Braves. And, just hoping that everyone's enjoying life as it is.
Yeah, I was thinking about it too, man. It's like you think about summers as a kid. Was there anything better than the last day of school and you walked out the door and you're like, nope, that's it. I'll see you guys in 3 months. There was nothing better than the last day of school, was there?
Absolutely not. No. And the funny thing is, everyone's always heard this, but when you're a kid, you want to be an adult. And then as soon as you're an adult, man, you want to be a kid again.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So imagine if we could go back knowing what we know now. It'd be ridiculous.
I'm a little scared to do that, but yes, maybe for like a week or two, right? Just to kind of just rewind the clock back a little bit, right?
Yeah, it'd be dangerous. It really would.
Really would. Well, listen, we got a jam-packed show to get to on the program here this week. Coming up in just a couple of moments, we're going to continue the interview that we started on last week's show. Tim sat down with Tracey Kendall Wilson. Of course, you heard her on the program last week. She's the regional director for Alzheimer's Tennessee. We're going to get to that coming up in just a little while. But Tim, I know this is something for those folks tuned in today that want to hear the entire conversation. They don't want to just hear it 8, 9, 10 minutes at a time. Tell them where they can find the entire hour-long conversation, because it is a very good one, and it's one that hits home for you specifically, I know.
Yeah, absolutely. And so many people. I bet there's not a listener out there that doesn't know someone whose Alzheimer's has affected their life in some way or another. If you want to hear the whole conversation, because it's fantastic, she talks about treatments that are potential treatments that are coming up and what should you look for and how should you broach the subject. I mean, there's a ton of stuff. And yeah, we're giving you little snippets here on our show every week. But if you want to hear the whole thing, just go to youtube.com and in the search, do the little @ Safe Money Retirement. You'll be able to pull up our page on YouTube, and it's right there. It's a little over an hour. It's actually a video podcast, so you can actually see my wife Mitzi and I actually interviewing her and hear the whole thing. It's right there. It's fantastic. I recommend it to everyone. The interview was great, and hey, here's a piece of that right now. But I mean, it was huge for us when my mom finally made the decision and the commitment to bring in someone, and it made all the difference because it gave her, even at the beginning when it was only a couple hours a day, well, that was a couple hour break, because otherwise it was kind of like you just said, it's a 24/7 job. Because even when Dad was sleeping, there was times where he would get up and wander around and do sometimes crazy stuff at night. She'd have to be awake and then that interrupts her sleep. She basically really didn't sleep well for 3 years because she was taking care of him. In my opinion, I think that's one of the biggest things is getting the help that you need, whether it's someone just to sit with a family member, whether it's bringing in someone to do some extra PT, to get them moving, because sometimes that helps with, just any of that kind of stuff. And I know that you guys and all the other organizations are so good and so plugged into all those kind of things.
Right. You again bring up a really good point in that if it's something to do with care, and in all of those examples you gave, those are care helps. You would anticipate that, you would sort of expect that coming from a provider. And, especially with primarily now there are children living with a cognitive issue. And so it's not only older people, but that age range, especially if the doctor said it, I'm going to do it. If the doctor or nurse practitioner or PA doesn't say it, then it's not real.
Right.
And so there are many times that you are the one, we are the one mentioning therapy and those types of things when, that is predominantly something that comes from a primary care provider. But again, they have limited time. Even the most caring, wonderful providers have limited time because they've got 50 other people in your position that they're waiting to see.
With what you do specifically, what does a typical day look like for you? I mean, I'm guessing it's completely different based on what's going on, but if you were just to say an average day, it's meeting with someone, it's helping get with a doctor, it's helping get them, what kind of outreach, what a normal day looks like?
A normal day, as you kind of said, looks different on the day, depending on the day. But I would say almost every day includes a home visit or a consultation, pretty in-depth with a family or families. I am not I'll use a really professional word right here and say, I'm not a cutter offer. And so I truly will let people most of the time talk as long as they need to. And so I try not to book one right up against the other because then I wind up in some trouble. But I would say working directly with families, we do have 13 support groups in the region. So it usually does include a support group or two, and then lots of phone calls. I would say that an average of about 25 to 30 calls a week are what come in to just our region. And that can be someone who is following up with something, seeing if I was able to get them a doctor's appointment or get a referral through to someone, or a brand new person who's moving their loved one here from across the state, and they need to know how to get them here and where they're going to go once they come here while they're looking for an apartment to live in the community. So those are real examples. So very few phone calls are 5 or 10 minutes. And so a lot of phone time.
And I'm assuming, pretty much all of the different areas of the country should have someone very similar to Alzheimer's Tennessee. So someone that's listening from Georgia or Florida or wherever, there should be an organization or multiple organizations that are very similar to Alzheimer's Tennessee in their area. What's going to be the best way to find it? Just Google?
Google is a really good way to start. And I always say start out with the local area agency on aging and disabilities. That is a federal program, and they all have to provide a core group of services. Organizations like ours tend to be more independent, sort of state-based organizations, minus the telephone. I think that there are other organizations that you would be able to access, someone at a call center that would be able to get you through a crisis moment. But for some of the in-person, in-home, definitely, that's going to be more independent. And so I tend to steer more toward the area agency on aging and disabilities.
Well, Tim, again, I know it impacts so many folks listening. And let's be honest, Tim, if it hasn't affected you and your family, your friends, your inner circle yet, let's be honest, Alzheimer's and the other health issues that come the older we get, if you haven't been affected by it yet, you're probably going to encounter that at some point later on down the road, aren't you?
Probably. And if you haven't been affected yet, count your blessings.
Yeah.
Seriously. Stop right now what you're doing and say a thank you that no one in your family or whatever has been affected, because I really don't know that there is anyone listening that hasn't been affected, or someone at someone that they go to church with, or somebody has been affected. So you need to have all this information. This is really important stuff.
Really is. We talk about it all the time on the show, whether it's income planning, whether it's, estate and legacy planning, it's healthcare costs that could go up in retirement. These are all things I know you can help our listeners really stay in front of. And folks, if you would like to learn more about how to not only put a plan in in place for your finances, but also one that can help you prepare for the unexpected as we get into retirement. It all starts with one call to Tim Wood and the team at Safe Money Retirement. If you'd like to learn more, there's no cost, there's no obligation. 800-913-SAFE. That's 800-913-7233. The website is safemoneyretirement.com. And again, folks, when you get on Tim's calendar, you schedule that time to start putting that plan in place for your retirement. He's also going to toss in a complimentary copy of his book. It's also called Safe Money Retirement, Your Game Plan for Success. Let's get you on his calendar. Let's get you a copy of that book. And again, if you'd like to learn more, you can always visit safemoneyretirement.com. So, Tim, I know a fun new feature on the show are some questions we get on a weekly basis from our listeners. If you'd like to be involved in the show, you can also email info@safemoneyretirement.com. And you've got quite an interesting one for us here on our listener-submitted question of the week, don't you?
I do. This one is a very interesting one. And basically the question, I'm just going to paraphrase, was what should I do with my pension plan? Because I'm coming up on retirement, should I go ahead and just take the deal that they're giving me? Or, and they're giving me all these options, 50% survivorship, no survivorship, 75, 100%, lump sum, what should I do? Well, again, what we need to do is we need to look at it holistically. What I tell people when they have these pension, or there's also some that are just called a defined benefit plan, works the exact same as a pension. It's the same thing. Pensions are defined benefit plans. So if yours is called a pension or it's called a defined benefit plan, same thing. Mm-hmm. But basically, here's the answer to that. What I tell clients all the time is wait until you're just about to retire. And when you are, they're going to send you a form that shows you all of your options. If you take, no survivorship, which that means if you die, your spouse gets nothing. Mm-hmm. Or if you take 50% survivorship, that means if you're going to get $2,000 a month when you die, your spouse would get $1,000. If you get 75% survivorship, $2,000, your spouse would get $1,500. 100% survivorship, your spouse would get the whole thing. Or do they offer a lump sum? So, number one, if they do not offer a lump sum, then let's just discuss which one of those options makes the most sense for you and your spouse. And how we will discuss that is let's look at everything else that you got. Let's see how much is your social going to be? How much is her social going to be? Because if you die and you've got the higher social, that's going to become hers as a survivor benefit. Mm-hmm. And then let's look at everything else and see what she needs and make the wisest decision with that pension. But most pensions or most defined benefit plans, again, not all, but most of them also give you the option of taking a lump sum. Now, why would you want to do that? Now, you're not withdrawing a lump sum, so you're not paying the taxes on that. But what you can do is you can take that lump sum and you can roll it into another plan. Now, again, why would you want to do that? Because my company can search every single guaranteed lifetime income plan in your state. And I would say somewhere between 80 to 90%, we can find a plan that pays a lot more than your pension or your defined benefit plan. And in many cases, it's got extra benefits. It's got benefits like a long-term care benefit that can make the income go up if there's ever a long-term care situation, or other things that you can get to anyway, I don't want to get into what all the benefits are. That's a whole other thing. But basically, the answer to the question is we need to sit down once you have that form that shows all of the options from your pension or your defined benefit plan, and let's figure out what's going to make the most sense for you. If it's to stay with that defined benefit or pension plan, which one of those options do we want to choose? We'll help you figure that out. But if it gives you an option for a lump sum, let's shop that lump sum against all the other A-rated companies in your state and see if there's a better option for you.
Again, if you have a pension, first and foremost, congratulations. Boy, those things have really gone the way of the dodo, right?
Right? Yeah, 100%. Used to be common. Now it's very rare.
Yeah, I know.
Unfortunately.
Under 10% of those out there listening actually have access to pensions these days. But maybe you are one of those lucky folks listening and you're not really sure which direction to turn. Do you take the lump sum? Do you take the payouts? How do you decide what is best for your situation? Well, look no further than Tim Wood and the team at Safe Money Retirement. Retirement. Of course, if you'd like to learn more, it all starts with one simple phone call. And again, folks, I mentioned it moments ago. If you'd like to also get a complimentary copy of his book, it's also called Safe Money Retirement, Your Game Plan for Success, 800-913-SAFE. That's 800-913-7233. Online at safemoneyretirement.com. That's safemoneyretirement.com. All right, we'll give you a couple of minutes to make that call, but don't go anywhere. We got a lot more to get to on this week's edition of the Safe Money Retirement Show with Tim Wood, and that's coming up after a very short break.
Hi, it's Glenn Beck. You've heard me talk about Tim Wood, certified financial fiduciary and owner of Safe Money Retirement for a while now. But what I haven't told you is that he's also a retirement income certified professional. Now, why should you care? Well, maybe you have pre-tax and after-tax retirement accounts, and you need to know how that's going to work. Or maybe you still don't have enough guaranteed lifetime income to cover your monthly bills. Or maybe your entire savings is still exposed to risk. Listen, I met Tim personally, and I can tell you that his team can help you. I want you to write this down, safemoneyretirement.com/Beck. Or call 800-913-SAFE to schedule a no-obligation, free 15-minute discovery call with Tim. You know I don't trust just anyone. So do your own homework on Tim Wood at safemoneyretirement.com/Beck and request a copy of his best-selling book. 800-913-SAFE. safemoneyretirement.com/Beck. Get started today.
It is the Safe Money Retirement Show, and we're glad to have you with us. Alongside Tim Wood, he's a certified financial fiduciary. He's also the founder and president of Safe Money Retirement. My name's Kevin McAlpin. Tim and I, so glad you found us on the show. And hey, don't forget, we also have a podcast as well. You can find the Safe Money Retirement podcast as well, wherever you download and stream your favorite podcast. There's also the YouTube channel as well. If you would like to hear more of the conversation we aired earlier in the show with Tracey Kendall Wilson of the Alzheimer's Tennessee organization, you can hear that entire interview on YouTube at Safe Money Retirement. So, Tim, I was reading an article recently in Barron's, and it was talking about how many people don't like to hear the word annuity when planning for their finances. And that's why financial advisors have been using some terms like guaranteed product income, structured income, or retirement paycheck. So let me ask you, have you noticed that folks maybe lighten up their feelings on annuities once you really help them dive into and, more importantly, understand all the benefits that come along with an annuity?
100%. Absolutely. And for those of you that have read my book, and if you haven't, give us a call, get your own copy. We'll send you one free. You need to read it. It's got a lot of very important things. But I've got a line in the book, and I have clients all the time talk to me about it. And that line is, I wouldn't touch most annuities out there, probably 90% of them, I wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole. Mm-hmm. And that's the truth. There are 3, or sometimes every once in a while, a 4th one that I will use, and that's it. They're all fixed. They all do specific things. Those are the only kind that I will use. There are some out there that are awful. They are. I mean, point blank. So, yes, getting someone to understand what they are. And there are some people that we go into the thing and they say, I absolutely don't want an annuity. Okay, no problem. And we'll go through the thing and I'll say, okay, there's an IRA out there that I can get you. No chances of losses. We'll guarantee you an income as long as you and your wife live. You can't outlive it. Any money left in the principal once you're gone goes to your beneficiaries. It's got a long-term care benefit built into it. I go through the whole thing. Does that sound great? Yes, absolutely. That's what I want to do. Well, guess what? It's an annuity. What? I told you I didn't want an annuity. No, you told me you didn't want this thing over here that you've heard about that's awful, that's got all these fees, that can lose all this money, that does all these things. That's not what I'm talking about. Just because it's a quote unquote annuity, there are so many different types. Just like, you say, I want a new car. Okay, well, that new car could be a Yugo or it could be a Mercedes. Right? Just saying you want a car, okay, well, I'm going to go get you a car. It could be a little box with wheels on it. There you go. That's your car. It's going to get you from here to there, or it could be a Lamborghini. So, once I really sit down and help people understand what they're really looking for It's really a matter of helping people understand what annuity is and that it's not a new thing. Some people think annuities are brand new. I've got a whole section in my book that talks about, do y'all understand annuities have been around at least since Jesus Christ walked the planet? At least.
Right.
Because we know Roman soldiers, that was their retirement, was through a plan that was exactly an annuity. That's how they got paid once they retired from the Roman army. And also, let me say this, an annuity is not for everybody. I'm going to be that weird guy on the block. I'm not just trying to sling annuities at everybody. I'm really not. Because they're not for everyone, Kevin. There are situations where I tell people, you know what? You don't need an annuity. You've got enough income, or you've got enough savings, or you've got enough whatever. You don't need one. You know, keep doing what you're doing, or do this or do that. And everybody that I talk to, an annuity isn't the right fit. Sometimes I'm talking to people about doing some sort of like an indexed life insurance policy because they may just want an asset-based long-term care plan. There's a lot of other things that we look at. It's not always annuities. But yeah, there's a lot of people out there that have a really sour taste because there are these quote unquote experts on TV and on radio and on YouTube and on the Facebook and on the Instagram and the TikTok and all that garbage that you see as you're swiping and death scrolling that say, oh, you can't get an annuity. It's awful. Okay, great, son. Give me a reason. You know, show me some statistics because I'll show you what the right kind of an annuity can do. And I mean, and it's right there. And it's all guaranteed. That's the great thing about it. These things we're talking about are guaranteed. You don't have to worry about any losses. You don't have to worry about anything. They're guaranteed. And they're backed by the state with the state guarantee associations. So it's something that you can rely on. It's something that you know that you can plan your retirement around. Last week, we talked about conscious versus unconscious retirement planning. You need a conscious plan, and an annuity may be a really good fit for you. But again, it may not. It may not. That's why you need to sit down with someone that's going to look holistically, can look independently at all the companies in the area and figure out what's going to be best for you. But unfortunately, I do hear people still come in and say, I don't want an annuity. But again, if I just say, here's what it does. There's an IRA that does A, B, C, D, and E. Oh, that sounds fantastic. And then I just explain, well, guess what? This IRA is also what's called a fixed annuity. And, you know, and once they understand, it really does change people's perception.
Well, maybe you've heard some mixed messages surrounding annuities. Maybe you have bought one in the past and you're looking for alternatives. Maybe you're looking for better rates. Maybe you're looking for different things you can do when it comes to your financial outlook. It all starts with one call to Tim Wood and his team at Safe Money Retirement. If you'd like to get on his calendar, you want to start doing a deeper dive into those guaranteed streams of income in your retirement. 800-913-SAFE. That's 800-913-7233 or online at safemoneyretirement.com. That's safemoneyretirement.com. So, Tim, every year, Chick-fil-A, they come out with their highly anticipated peach-flavored milkshakes. Now, they're only here for a few months. I got a feeling you're just like my kids, man. When they see the sign go up, it's time to go get a hold of one of those peach milkshakes. You the same way? You got the sweet tooth like me?
I do. That's a problem. Yeah.
Well, you know, you get them for a couple of months and then they're gone until next year. But I bring it up because, Tim, tying it into what you do for our listeners, there's also a number of windows of opportunity when it comes to financial planning. So let's talk about some of those things that maybe if you don't do fill in the blank by this age, that benefit is probably gone. What are some of the things that maybe you've seen our listeners, you know, miss the boat on in your years of experience?
There are a handful of specific ages that we really need to think about. So number one, if you are 50 or older, you can do what's called catch-up contributions, which basically allows you to have higher savings potential in your retirement plans. It allows you to put more away if you're 50 or older. So it's called catch-up contributions. Most of y'all probably already know about it. If you don't, those start at age 50. At age 55, there are certain employer plans that give you free access to your money if you leave work. But here's the thing. If you miss it, the rule may not apply.
Right.
It may just be at 55. It depends on the exact plan, and it's something that you need to look at. But 55 is that magic number. And for example, here in my home state of Tennessee, if you're a state employee, they've got that plan, but you've got to do it right at 55, but then you can access that money. Other states are different, and we'd have to check the rules and the laws in each state, but that's what happens at 55. Now, 59 and a half, that's the first real biggie. Because 59 and a half, that's when you can make withdrawals from any of your retirement accounts without any penalties. Last week, you heard us talking about the new Trump IRA plans. That's when your kids would be able to get to that money without a penalty is 59 and a half. That's when you can get to any of your money without any penalties is 59 and a half. So that's a big one. And then the next one after that, the biggie is 65. That's Medicare. Unless they change that, and I don't see that happening anytime in the near future, 65, that is a hard age for the window for being able to get into Medicare. Now, there are some other times you can get into Medicare sooner, certain specific situations, certain chronic illnesses. There are some times, but for the most part, everyone, it's age 65. And then Social Security. Social Security, most people know you can start claiming it at 62. Now, that means you're going to get about 80% less than if you waited all the way till 70. Mm-hmm. But 70, that's that next main big age. If you haven't already turned on your social, as soon as you hit 70, that's when you do it because it stops growing then. So at 70, that's the absolute last time that you would turn on Social Security. Now, I don't want to go down a whole path with Social Security, but one of the biggest questions I get is people saying, well, when should I turn it on? Mm-hmm. Should I turn it on at 62? Should I turn it on at 70? We need to sit down and look at your overall situation. Typically, what I tell people, this is the real quick answer. The real quick answer is whoever's got the smaller Social Security, you can go ahead and turn that on at 62 if you want. Whoever's going to have the bigger, let's try to defer that as long as we can, all the way out to 70 if we can, because then whichever one of you passes first, the survivor's going to get that bigger Social Security. And then the last thing are those RMDs. People are dreading those required minimum distributions, and that's either going to be at age 73 or 75 based on when you're born. If you're born before 1960, your age is going to be 73. If you're born 60 or later, it's actually going to be 75. All of those ages, again, when you're sitting down with someone and we're doing a holistic plan, we're going to talk about all of those things. If you're over 50, we're going to talk about catch-up contributions. Are you already doing them? Are you in an employer plan that you can get to the money at 55? If not, 59 and a half is when we can get to it. Medicare at 65. Do you know what you need to do? Do you need an Advantage plan? Do you need a supplement and a drug plan? What do we need to do? Let's make sure you're right there. When do we want to turn on your Social Security? And lastly, making sure you're ready for those RMDs. And how are we going to do them? And if we are going to just leave your money in that pre-tax account, those RMDs are going to count towards your annual income because you're going to have to take that money out. So making a plan for everything, it's a really big deal, and it's based on what your age as to how we actually plan everything.
Yeah, we know there are a number of milestone ages along the road to and through retirement. And if you are looking for more details, maybe you're afraid you might have missed the boat on some of those dates, pick up the phone. Give Tim Wood and his team at Safe Money Retirement a call today. Let him walk you through some of those things you may be missing out on when it comes to your retirement planning. 800-913-SAFE. That's 800-913-7233. Online at safemoneyretirement.com. That's safemoneyretirement.com. So, Tim, time flies when we're having fun. It does it on a weekly basis right here on the show. And before we are out of time, sir, the floor is all yours for the final word.
As always, Kevin, thank you, brother. That was a fantastic show. Hope everyone enjoyed it. Hope everyone, again, is enjoying their early summer days and getting out and having some fun. Talked about some important stuff today. Again, that interview with Tracey Kendall Wilson. If you want to hear the whole thing, youtube.com, search at Safe Money Retirement. Pull up our page. You can watch the entire interview right there. Really important stuff. You need to make sure that you check that out. Also talked about those ages we just discussed. There's some important ages You need to make sure that you're prepared and you're with someone that's going to make sure that you're prepared for all those different ages. Talked about why financial advisors don't like using the word annuity and why they're trying to use other words. Tell you what, annuity really isn't a bad word. I use it every single day and I'm not ashamed of it if you're using the right one. But what I want to really focus on real quick before we leave was that question. What should you do with your pension or your defined benefit plan? And it really, I hate to always say this, but it depends. We need to sit down as soon as you get that. This is so important. We need to sit down with your form that they send you and say, here's all your options. That's when we sit down and we figure out what is your best option. Is it going to be best to go with them? And how do we want to do it? No survivorship, 100% survivorship, or somewhere in between. Or do we want to take that lump sum, transfer it to an A-rated life insurance company that's going to pay you more and give you more benefits? Putting all of these things together is what's going to get you a safe money retirement.
The preceding information does not represent tax, legal, or investment advice. Obviously, by contacting us now, you are only taking the first step towards protecting your retirement. No information presented today should be acted upon without meeting with a qualified, licensed insurance professional. It is important that you read all insurance contract disclosures carefully before making a purchase decision. Interest and other guarantees in annuity contracts are subject to the claims-paying ability of the insurance carrier that issued the contract. The tax consequences of annuity income should be considered with the help of a licensed tax professional. Rates and returns mentioned on this program may vary based on state availability and are subject to change without notice.